Hey guys, it's Matt Haycox here, and welcome to the second in my weekly rounds-ups. It is Sunday the 13th of June. I'm still here on the Sea Squirter in sunny Cannes. I've been a bit ropey this week, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm coughing and snivelling and blowing my nose through this, but we're going to get through it, don't worry. I thought it's the second week, I can't pull a sickie just yet. It's been really well received, this weekly roundup. As far as my stats are concerned, with YouTube, with Instagram, and how you guys watch and engage with things, it's gone down really well, so super pleased about that. No one has actually yet told me what you do and don't like. You've just told me that you like it, you've enjoyed watching it, and you want to see more of them. But I want to make sure we hone the format down, so it's in a format that that works. It includes everything that you guys want to see. I think the only real change I want to try and make at the moment is try and make it a bit more concise. Last week I think it was nearly 50 minutes long, which I guess is fine if there's 50 minutes of stuff to talk about, but I want to try and make it as snappy as possible. Don't want you guys to get too bored, although I know you do love watching and listening to me. But no, in all seriousness, try and keep it in half an hour. Keep the kind of key punchy topics of what I've been up to in the week. And anything else you guys want to include, so please do tell me. Do tell me what works and what doesn't. Today we are going to be talking about recruitment again. I know we spoke about that last week. I think what we'll find is that there's probably a lot of common themes that go through these weekly roundups, because in my life and in business in general, that there's kind of common themes that as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, are always going to be top of your agenda, are always going to be prevalent, and recruitment is very much one that is for me and should be for you guys too, particularly you guys who are in the growth stages of your business. So we're going to talk recruitment. I bought a new office this week, so we're going to talk about that as well very briefly. I've spent a couple of days in Monaco. That was fun, doing a bit of networking, entertaining some potential future relationships and some prospective clients. We'll talk a little bit about networking and and proximity to the right people. What else? I told you last week that I'd invested in a new gym, in a new business, a gym called Gym Squared. So we've got 3 or 4 weeks until that launches. And as with all projects and new start businesses, it isn't without its difficulties. So we'll talk a little bit about cash planning, cash flow projections. And we're going to wrap up with a quick chat on branding, making reference to a business that I'm involved with called Larizia. And as always, it's only week number 2, but as will always be the case, I'm going to give you a quick book review on what I've read this week, and also give you someone to follow, someone whose content I enjoy and I think that you guys can benefit from. So you know what we're doing now. If there's any bits you don't want to see in that, you can skip through them. Otherwise, let's get on with it. Recruitment. Like I say, always going to be talking about this. Last Monday, I had one of the weekly kind of preparation meetings I have with my team, talking with the finance guys about holes in, not so much holes in the team, not holes in terms of skill sets, but as a business, we've been growing so rapidly, or as a group of businesses, we've been growing so rapidly over the past weeks and months. That the infrastructure isn't being able to keep up with us. So certain businesses from an accounting perspective are running behind where I want them to be at. Now, when I say where I want them to be at, I mean I am very, very anal about how regular I want transactions to be reconciled, how much I want KPIs to be issued, how quick I want management accounts to be issued. I am probably very much at the fast end, the fastest end of any other business owners I know. But that's because, well, 2 things. One, I understand the importance of financial information and having to run your business by very strict KPIs. And secondly, because I'm involved in so many businesses that I have to be to a degree hands-off with. If I don't get, if I don't get the kind of pertinent financial facts, then I'm running things blind. And I'd be lying if I said that everything was up to date and everything was running smoothly at the moment. And that is not, like I said, that's not a criticism of my of my existing team. They do a stellar job. They work every hour that God sends, but we simply do not have enough staff to cope. So very much on a recruitment drive. If any of you guys watching this are accountants and looking for a new job, then drop me a DM, send me an email at matt@haycox.com. But I think the kind of learning experience for you guys here is one of the debates I was having with my staff, and whilst this is accounting, an accounting-based conversation that very much applies to most positions, or sort of most departments. My guys were wanting to hire probably a very competent bookkeeper or two, someone maybe around the kind of £25,000 mark. But I have been very much campaigning, and we're on the same page now, that rather than getting a 25 grand solid bookkeeper, I want to be getting a 40 grand management accountant. Someone with extra skill set, with an extra level of ability, and who's capable of more than hitting the ground running. Now, there's a few reasons in this. First of all, because we are so under pressure in accounts at the moment, we can't, we haven't really got time to recruit. We haven't really got time to train. Obviously, we have to recruit and train. So I say that somewhat flippantly, but what I mean is we really haven't got time to either be making mistakes on or taking people who need too much hand-holding. So I think that that's very much a hidden cost that you probably don't notice as business owners, and you might think that you're saving money, 5, 7, 10 grand on someone a year on someone's salary, but if you think that person might take an extra month or 2 or 3 to get going, and the amount of other resources that you need to allocate to that person to get them trained up, that does start to be a sunk cost and a hidden cost that you don't notice. Also, I think for any decent business, you can't overpay for the right people, and whilst again, you're going to get common messages in this from me all the time, but whilst I'm not for one second advocating wasting money. The difference between 25 grand and 40 grand, 300 quid a week. If those people can't bring more than 300 quid worth of value, more than in excess of 300 quid worth of value, there's something very wrong, and maybe there's other fundamental problems in your business. Any salesperson who's worth the salt, if you've got a product that is worth selling, they will more than make up for any increase in salary you may have had to pay them. Any competent accounting person, for that 300, 400, 500 quid a week extra they may pay, they will be able to find you wasted costs, create structures and cost savings, that will more than pay for themselves. So don't scrimp and don't cut corners when it comes to recruiting those people. What else are we talking about recruiting? Yeah, another one. This is maybe in a different area of the business for me, but I think it's very important. If you're delegating recruiting, which again, as a business owner who's going to be concentrating on the bigger picture, you're going to be delegating a lot of these activities. It's very important that you still keep a hand in it, because what you need to be careful of is that the people who have been tasked with that recruiting aren't recruiting people to protect their position, if that makes sense. So you don't want to be in a situation where there could be the choice between a great hire and a not so great hire, but that great hire may make the person who's doing the recruiting feel threatened about their job. Or maybe there's an opportunity to hire someone who is going to be earning more money than the person who is doing the recruiting, and there might be some friction or some politics, etc. there. Again, whilst you may be handing off responsibility of these recruiting tasks, it's very important that you keep your hand in to actually see the recruitment process, see the CVs. You might not be doing the first stage interviews, the second stage interviews perhaps, but you need to make sure sure that you are not missing out on the chance to see good people just because politically those people may not suit for other people in the organisation. And I think the final thing I wanted to say for me on recruitment is that I always have an open door recruiting policy, and again that is my advice / insistence to any of you guys who've got ambition to grow and scale your business, and for me that applies to anyone therefore who doesn't have a kind of a lifestyle business that they're not looking to do anything with. If you want to grow year on year, month on month, then you always have to have an open mind to be prepared to take on the right person, because if you are only recruiting for people at certain times, then by definition when you are not recruiting, you will miss the opportunity to have potentially hired somebody who's great. So it's very important to keep an open door, to keep an open mind, that anyone who is capable of adding value to your business, should be you should take an open mind to hiring them, even if you weren't necessarily thinking that you needed someone just yet. So keep an open mind to that. So that's recruiting. Next one, bit kind of quick and easy, but yeah, I bought a new office. 4,500 square feet in the centre of Leeds. That it's not purpose built. It's an existing building, but it's already ready to rock and roll. It's got all the desks, got all the electrics, got all the bits and pieces in there. It's a building that we've been looking at for the last few months. It's finally completed, and the legals completed last week. We've been, I was going to say nomadic, that's the wrong word. We've been unsettled from an office perspective since the beginning of COVID. Again, as an organisation and as a group of different businesses, we were in a rented office in the centre of Leeds where the lease expired just when COVID was starting and everyone was going into lockdown and being sent home. So March, April 2020. And that was kind of good timing, because we were breaking our lease anyway. All the staff were working from home. We didn't know where we'd be. And if you go back to that time, again, any of you who've followed me for a while or follow me regularly, I was actually a real kind of advocate for working from home back then, and I was very much of the opinion that despite the negative aspects of lockdown and corona, etc., there were some good lessons to learn, and I was excited about the fact that we could look to have more staff working from home, which would therefore give us the ability to reduce our office footprint, reduce our costs, give flexibility, and also then to then be able to hire a global workforce, or certainly a national workforce, because we weren't so dependent on physical office space in specific geographical locations. Now, again, if you follow me for a while, you'll know that over the kind of course of lockdown and over the last 6 or 12 months, I've kind of gone full circle on that idea. And whilst it's certainly opened my mind to the fact that with the right policies and the right controls and measures in place, you can hire home workers and you can have people working from home. It's just something that I will never ever fully advocate for many positions in a business, it's not. I guess it's not a fashionable view nowadays. There's, I think, whether big corporations believe it or whether they just feel it's another thing that they need to say to look like they're doing the right thing for employees and ticking another politically correct box. I don't know. But I just do not believe you can have for example, call centre staff, administrative staff, more junior members of a team working from home in a home environment and achieve the same level of productivity and build the same relationships and camaraderie, etc., than you can in a physical office. It's a conversation for another day to go into the deep detail on on the whys and wherefores and what is wrong there. Like I said, it's not to say that I don't, believe that certain people can work from home certain parts of the time, but I just don't think it's effective to have an organisation that is fully decentralised. Now, I know some of you guys watching this will disagree. Will have your ways of trying to prove me wrong, and I get it. It works for you. I mean, I've got a couple of friends. One who springs to mind particularly, who's got a business with no physical office, 100+ staff. Very successful. But for me personally, I like that physical space. I like everyone getting together. I like everyone being in the same building, being able to walk up to somebody's desk, to be able to ask a question, to be able to go for a beer after work, etc., etc. So we've done a full U-turn, and we've gone from the big physical office we had that we lost when we went into Corona to having a Regis-style office for the last 6 or 12 months, which, wow, are they robber merchants? What an expensive setup for not much there. And now we have, and now we're back into a physical space. It gives us some stability, and it gives us something to grow into. So watch this space. Undoubtedly, we'll make it cool in some way, shape, or form. What else? Went to Monaco this week. Obviously, again, as you know, as I said at the beginning of this video, I'm on the boat. I'm kind of living out of Cannes at the moment. But on Tuesday afternoon, I sailed up to Monaco. It's about an hour up the coast, and we moored up there in the marina called Cap d'Aille, and stayed there for 2 nights, and then sailed back to Cannes on Thursday. Now, during my time there, I went to see some friends, some new business contacts, some kind of introductions from introductions. Did a couple of dinners, a couple of lunches. Took the boat out one day with a group of guys who I'm looking to generate some business from, and really, I guess, just did what I will always say. I probably spend 50% of my business life doing, which is building relationships, networking, and getting great people in my circle. And I always talk about trying to put yourself in that proximity to great to great people, or to people that can change your business, or people that can change your life. And obviously, you don't need me to tell you that Monaco is a place, which is rammed wall to wall with successful business people, people who've built businesses, sold businesses, have capital to invest, have advice to give, have stories to tell, and everything in between. So it was great for me to spend a couple of days absorbed in there. And build some relationships. I think the two lessons for me, I'll say 2 lessons. I was thinking of a couple of immediate tips or takeaways for you guys when I was making my notes this morning. And one is, again, I always talk about trying to find different or unique or out of the norm networking situations to invite and entice people to. So the guys I took out on Wednesday, took them out on the boat for the day, had a nice lunch here, played on the jet skis and the toys. And being able to do that gave me the ability to invite people to something cool that they may have turned down most other opportunities, because again, when you want to get in front of busy and successful people, these people have very full diaries and are inundated with invitations. So to ask them for to pop into the office, or a lunch or a breakfast or whatever, may not necessarily have been they may not necessarily have found the time to want to do that. But when I invite them on the boat and do something cool and different, it's obviously a much more difficult to say no to that opportunity. Now, obviously, I know most of you guys watching this are probably not going to be in the position to to have a boat or to hire a boat, etc. So please don't think I'm trying to be unrealistic there. The message is, things that are different. And again, if you watch me, or sorry, if you followed me and you watch some of my other videos on networking, go and have a look over on YouTube. I talk about all kinds of different things. Things that are cheap or free, or some great relationships I've made. in the in the boxing ring, in a fitness class, climbing Kilimanjaro, paintballing. Just things that are different. Yes, going on the piss and having a beer, is better than being in the office. But I just think it's been done to death for the last 50 years, and everyone can go on the piss with anyone nowadays. I just think it's very important to find different ways to entice people out of the office. And the other thing I wanted to share with you is, people always ask me how I build my network, and one of the easiest ways to do that is to ask people in it for an introduction to somebody else. So again, during the 2 or 3 days I've been in Monaco, from the people I'd had meetings with, at the appropriate moment, I asked them if there's somebody in a particular sector or in a particular area, or just someone that I could benefit, or maybe there's hopefully some mutual benefit to having a phone call with, having in my circle in some way, shape or form. And I got, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 meaningful introductions, that I'll obviously prospect with over the coming weeks. Extrapolate that out. Doesn't take long to meet dozens and dozens and hundreds of people. Pick your 10 best people in your network. Ask each of them for an introduction to one person. Go and meet that one person and ask them for an introduction to one more person. Before you know it, you've got hundreds and hundreds of potentially quality contacts there. So yes, networking. Gym Squared. Spoke last week about the fact that I just invested in a new business, a business called Gym Squared. We will be open, touch wood. I think there's a bit of laminate, but underneath I think there's some wood. Touch wood. We should be open for the 28th of June. Listen, any startup business, any building project, is fraught with problems, delays, difficulties, and when it's a startup business and a business that was raising money and a business that is a building project as well, it's going to be fraught with more and more problems. But we've got a great team. We're fighting our way through it. But I think again, one of the kind of key lessons or takeaways for me from this was, we've been doing a lot of work on the cash flows and the projections, and I've been really hammering onto my guys how much I wanted to build fat into it. And look, again, it's an old adage that you should always half your sales projections and double your projected costs, and then you might be somewhere near reality. But again, all these adages, all these cliches are cliches for a reason, because they are not without some element of truth. The guys were fighting me a bit for saying that I was probably being too conservative in my estimates, and that we were going to make these sales projections, or these costs weren't going to happen. But I've effectively fought my corner to build this fat into the projections, and it's been very important that we did, because as expected, really, there's been some delays, there's been some overruns, which have had a negative impact on the income line and a negative impact on the costs line. And if we hadn't have built that fat in, we would have been now scratching around in a problem, looking for more cash. Fortunately, we don't need to do that, because we'd planned properly. I think other things, I think, when it comes to the finances of a business, far too often do I find that business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs defer the financial aspects of their business to their accountants, to their, whether that's external or internal. And I can't overstress what a huge mistake that I think this is. Listen, I get it. There's only so many skills you can, or so many, let's say, high-level skills you can have, or other skills at a high level. But as a business owner, to not have a solid grasp of not just of the finances of your business, but of finance in general, of accounting principles in general, is criminal, because you will get fucked at some point in your business, and probably more than once, and probably sooner than you think. Now, again, and I see this time and time again with lawyers and with accountants. Business owners think that their lawyer or their accountant is the best one in the world, and they'll never use another one because their guy's amazing. He's got them out of a pickle, or he's solved this problem, or he's done that, or he's done the other. And I tell you, the reason I believe that people say this, and again, as always, that's not to say that there aren't some great lawyers and accountants out there. There are. I use plenty myself, and there's plenty I don't use that I know exist. But like people in most positions, there's probably a greater number of incompetent people in those positions than there are, shit hot, super competent ones. So the reason that people think these accountants are so great or these lawyers are so great are because they don't know any better themselves. I'm thinking of an example. I don't know if I want to go and see a personal trainer, or if I want to go and ask someone some advice about teaching me the guitar. I know nothing about nutrition, and I know nothing about the guitar. So anyone who knows a bit more than me is going to sound competent to me. But that's not to say that everything they tell me is true and correct. In the full area of the guitar or the nutrition. The more I talk, the less I like that analogy. but you get what I'm saying. If you haven't got the basics of knowledge to understand what people are saying to you, then you're always going to trust other people's work and judgment and opinions. Like I'm always advocating for continual learning in life and business. But if there's one key skill you want to go and learn, is accounting. As a business owner, you've got to, like I say, I'm not saying go back to university. I'm not saying you need to become a qualified management accountant, but you've got to do at least a course in the fundamentals of the difference between profit and loss and balance sheet. Learning about things like prepayments and accruals, and where different lines on a financial statement belong, and understanding the impact of double entry, in bookkeeping, all these things. The fundamental to getting the right output, the right financial output. So that is that. What else can we talk? What else have I been up to this week? Been talking branding. Branding and social media is always, a hot topic for me, and it's been a tough one. And one of the businesses that I've been working with this week, Larizia, our fashion business, because we're working very hard right now to develop our our unique identity. And we're having to do that whilst wanting to be unique and appropriate and appeal to our customer base, but whilst also not offending the brands that we work with. And it's not an easy task, because when you look at our peers, the likes of Net-a-Porter, of Matches, of Selfridges, of My Teresa, etc. And again, this isn't unique to the fashion business. I think any big corporate business does a pretty shit job on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, I say on TikTok, they're probably not even on TikTok. And I was talking with my team when we were looking at the likes of, let's say a Net-a-Porter this week, and on face value, you're talking about a business there, with obviously a super successful business, with something like 4 million followers on Instagram. But when you actually start to drill down and say, well, they may have 4 million followers on Instagram, but they get very, very low likes, very low engagement, comments, etc. on their posts. And to me, their social media strategies, they shouldn't. If that's all they're going to do, they shouldn't even spend any money on it. They're nothing more than vanity metrics to keep someone in a job, to keep someone earning a retainer, so that they can turn around and and tell that organisation that they've got them this many followers. It's so important to know your identity, to know what is your brand, and to be true to it, because ultimately that is that is what's going to set you apart from your peers. In most businesses nowadays, there's no secret sauce, there's no unique product. You think about what you do. I think about what I do. Ultimately, I'm in the fashion business, I'm in the gym business, I'm in the leisure business. Yes, we all like to say that that we're better than our competition, but the reality is, do we really do anything so different? And ultimately, what sets us apart is our sales, our marketing, our branding, our personality. So it's so important to know what your personality is and to own it. And I guess my personal brand is a prime example of this. You guys that follow me will know that my brand, my personality, my lifestyle is let's say unconventional. Is certainly not what you would expect from a lender, from a finance company, from let's say a private equity style entrepreneur. But the bottom line is, it's me, and it's very easy for me to do it and to remain consistent across all areas, because I don't have to lie, I don't have to put an image on. And if that means that I alienate some people, then so be it. Because I know from an offline world that what I do online is the same as what I do offline. And I know that from an offline world, whilst again I may alienate some people offline, I'm able to build relationships and take full advantage of my personality, for want of a better word, in the relationships I've got and the relationships I've built, and that's why I have them. And it's the same for all of you guys. A client in one of my businesses recently, I don't know, 12 months ago, it's a lawyer, was having a chat with me, saying that she wanted to go on social media, she wanted to try and build a profile, but what didn't know what to do, didn't really want to do it because lawyers don't do that kind of thing. And I was saying to her at the time that that is a terrible answer, and just because nobody else is doing it does not mean that you shouldn't. Building a brand, having a personality, building a profile on social media are applicable to every business, every sector, every price point, everything. And I was really pleased actually when she texted me about something a couple of weeks ago and said, by the way, I took your advice and I've gone on social now. And I had a look at her page, and it's great to see her sharing her story. I mean, at the time she was saying to me, well, what will I talk about? What we do is pretty boring for people to listen to. And that's the key thing. Two things. One, you need to try and make it not boring, or as not boring as possible. And listen, no matter how boring any business may sound, there's always stories to tell and quirks that can make it fun, can make it exciting for certain people to listen to. And the other thing is, for the people who aren't interested, they're never going to be interested. If you are a tax accountant, or you're a corporate lawyer, or you're a florist, or you're whatever it may be, it's only going to be your direct audience that's interested in that kind of stuff. So don't worry about trying to be something that appeals to everyone, because when you're trying to keep everybody happy, you make nobody happy. So, well, I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but important message and important lessons all the same. So my little 2 wrap-ups that we're going to do in this every week. One is a book review. Last week I talked about Fake by Robert Kiyosaki, but this week I've actually been reading it for 2 weeks, but I managed to finally finish it. I was glad I was ill last night, because I got to lay in bed with my chocolate mousse and finish Bad Blood. I've loved this book. Now, the only reviews you're ever going to get from me are non-fiction, because I only read non-fiction, other than the occasional James Patterson, but I only read non-fiction, and I only really like business books. But this book, as it says somewhere on it actually, is such a mad story that it actually almost sounds like fiction. It's a story about a business called Theranos, and the CEO, founder of it, a girl called Elizabeth Holmes. The most mental story. I mean, I won't ruin it. I mean, the story has been in the public domain for the last few years. So I guess I can't really give you too many spoilers. But Theranos was a medical devices type business. They wanted to be involved in blood testing and lab work, etc. And this business, over the course of about 14 years, raised nearly $1 billion. Peaked at a valuation of about $9.5 billion. Its founder, Elizabeth, owned more than 50% of the business, so she was worth, on paper, over $4.5 billion. She was touted as the next Steve Jobs, the next Bill Gates. The first woman in Silicon Valley to found and be a self-made billionaire. But the whole thing was a fraud. I mean, absolutely mental. I say fraud. Read it. I don't think she probably ever set out on day one to go and defraud anyone, but basically she could never make the technology work. The tech never ever worked, and any results that they were giving to people, whether that's investors, potential customers, even patients, they were all fabricated, or they were made in a different lab. Just a crazy, crazy, crazy story. But you like it? Well, I liked it anyway. I think you'll like it. I think, for me, a couple of lessons from there as well are, it's just, so many times, and this was the same with the Bernie Madoff story as well. I've read quite a lot of, books on large scale, protracted frauds, and these never normally unravel at the end when someone's just discovered it for the first time. There's normally many stories along the way of whistleblowers, of people trying to alert the authorities, the media, other members of the board, other investors, trying to alert them to the problems that are going on. But people are always blinded. They always find a way to try and say, no, you don't know what you're talking about. This is a great business, or they justify the most unjustifiable things, and that was very prevalent through this whole book. Super competent, experienced, multi-millionaire, billionaire investors just passing off. What in hindsight, what probably at the time was very obvious, and they just don't want to believe it. That's I guess a prevalent message and an important lesson. And the other thing that always staggers me with big corporate businesses is how much money they waste. I mean, obviously this is a slightly unique situation because it was fraudulent, but there's so many big corporate businesses, when they spend the 6 and 7 figures on parties and office refits that are just completely unnecessary, and a fucking ping pong table and croissants delivered 25 hours a day and all that bullshit. And again, I'm not for 1 minute saying that you shouldn't be doing fun things and looking after staff but the amount of waste when someone isn't spending their own money is astronomical in big businesses. Anyway, that's the book review. And someone to follow this week, I thought I'd give you a guy I've followed for a while, a guy called Brad Lee. That's L-E-A. He is The Real Brad Lee on most things, Twitter, Instagram. He's on YouTube, etc. Brad is probably a 50-year-old American. He owns a business called Lightspeed VT, which is it's a technology platform for people to put training programs and courses and stuff on. So if you're if you're a Tony Robbins and you want to sell a course, Brad's technology hosts that course, and it's all singing or dancing. I don't know it inside out. But I'm not here to talk about that. But that's what Brad does. But he's an expert sales guy. I think he cut his teeth in the used car market. He has a sales course himself. He has a podcast. He's got some funky opinions and a very humorous way of talking. And I very much enjoy his stuff. And he's got a lot of stuff you can benefit from. So check him out, Bradley, The Real Bradley. And that's it for Sunday the 13th of June, a weekly roundup. Didn't quite bring it in as quick as I wanted to, but I guess if there's things to talk about, it will be as long as it is. But please, like I said last week, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, tell me what you want me to include. And we'll be doing this every single week, so please keep coming back. It's on iTunes, it's on YouTube, and we'll cut little pieces of it into Instagram. If you don't know me and you don't follow me, I am the Matt Haycox. That's TheMattHaycox. That is my social handle, by the way. I'm not saying I am the Matt Haycox, it's the Matt Haycox. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, all across the board. If you're watching this on YouTube, then please press like. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, give me a little comment. Really, really appreciate it. And as always, love hearing from you guys, so drop me any DMs. If you want to email me, I'm matt@haycox.com. And like I said, I always want to hear from anyone who wants secured lending, anyone who has got an investment proposition in an established business, or anyone who wants to talk to me about coaching, mentorship, or any way I can add value to your business. So thanks a lot. I will see you again next week. Next week will be Sunday the 20th. So see you on Sunday the 20th of June. Have a great week, and I hope you benefited from some of the stuff that I've talked about today, and make sure you go and implement some of my tips.